Hello everyone, this is Jotto, and welcome to my first impressions for Heroes of the Storm. Now, as I said on the weekly show and also on the tournament recap, I did get into the Heroes of the Storm Alpha. I've been playing it fairly extensively when I have time, or when my internet's been allowing me, because I've had internet issues pretty much all week. But anyway, so I'm going to be going over my first impressions on a lot of the mechanics in the game to do with things like the mount system and tower system and maps and talents and things. I'm not going to be going over balance. The game is horrifically unbalanced at the moment, but what do you expect from an alpha? I mean, you do kind of expect sort of alphas to be very, very unbalanced. It's sort of the point of it in the first place, if you see what I mean. Anyway. So, I'm going to actually start with the most positive thing from the game, the hero system. Now, the hero system is very, very good, and Tyrael's been moved up too far there. Whatever. Anyway, OCD getting ahead of me. The hero system is very, very good. They are separated into assassin types, which are basically DPS type things, because there aren't really any carries or anything because you have joint leveling and there's no item system or anything. So you have assassins, which are your closest thing to carries, you could say. They are very, very DPS focused. And then you have warriors, who are essentially tanks. You actually need one of these on your team pretty much all the time, or two, because they have a huge amount of crowd control. Supports are mostly attributed with healing, and they don't do as much damage. A couple of exceptions, but like, for instance, Brightwing, he's basically pure utility, but Tassadar can be specced towards damage, and so can Tyrande. But Uther is just like ridiculous on the healing. There's a pretty interesting sort of setup with the supports. Now, the specialists are people who don't really fill any of these roles. They fall into their own role. So Witch Doctor is very pushing oriented with pets and such, so he sort of is his own thing. Sergeant Hammer has a siege mode because he's a siege tank. Or she's a siege tank, technically. Gazlo, very, very mercenary camp oriented. Abathur is global, and I actually think is the worst designed hero in the entire game. The global Abathur thing is a little weird. But I'm going to go over some of the negative points later. But starting with the most positive thing from the entire game, the hero system. Now, the way this is divided is I'm just going to go into Tyrande because she's been one of my favorite heroes actually to play. Now, the base stat system, it goes up per level. It's kind of like the leveling up system for League of Legends, where things go up per level. Regardless, if you buy items, they'll go up in flat amounts, as opposed to in Jotto, which is based on stat gain. So, it's all flat numbers as far as stats go, which is designed to be less complicated, and I understand that the stat system in Jotto, while interesting, is quite annoying sometimes, so I don't mind either way. Now, as for the actual skill system, it's very League of Legends-esque. A lot of things in this game are. We've got a trait, also known as a passive. Now, for Tyrande, it's whenever you attack something, they're marked for 3 seconds, and then anyone else who attacks that target gains health. Now, this is per level. It starts at 8, but it goes up to about 40 or something. Then you have basic heal that heals yourself as well. Stun, that's a skill shot. There's quite a few skill shots in this game. Sentinel's a global skill shot that only damages heroes. And 2 ultimates. Now, in this game they're called heroics, I think. Yeah, they're called heroic abilities. But in this... And another mistake. This website's fairly new, just to let you know. It is fairly new, so there's going to be a lot of typos. Anyway, so we're at level 10. You get to decide between 2 ultimates. This is true for everyone apart from Abathur, I do believe, who only has 1 ult. Now, the 2 ultimate system is designed to open the game up to multiple builds, and I actually think it's very, very interesting. So, I'm fully with this system. I actually do love the way the heroics work. They need to balance them compared to each other, because some of them are just ridiculously overpowered compared to the other ones. I mean, like with Tyrande, the way cloaking works, Shadowstalk is basically Mirana's ultimate from Dota for anyone who plays that game. But that ability looks powerful, but the cloaking in this game is done in the StarCraft 2 engine. So you can actually see the blur, and if you damage any cloaked unit, they uncloak. So as a result, Starfall ends up being so much more powerful. It's really weird, and it's just because of the way the mechanic works, and not because of the actual ultimate itself, which would be very, very good. Now, the actual cooldown for Starfall is longer, but you can also spec it to be absolutely absurd later on. It's a global slow, essentially. So, yeah, that's the problems with the ultimates. However, once they get them right, like with Illidan, I think they got it right. Both of his ults are pretty well balanced. It leads to some incredible build diversity. Now, this is, in my opinion, the best bit. The talent system. Now, the talent system was designed to replace, so to say, it was designed to replace items. Now, the way this works is you can get augmentations on abilities or on your hero, or you can get active abilities from this that you can actually use. So an example of an augmentation on your hero would be Path of the Wizard, in which you gain mana and mana regen, or an augmentation of an ability is something like Pierce. Now Pierce is completely absurd in this case. Basically Sentinel, which is the global skill shot, doesn't stop at the first hero. It's actually a pretty big deal. Now there is the active ability here as well, Healing Ward. Put it on the ground for 10 seconds, heals everyone for 2%. It's a pretty good heal. Now, the problem with the talent system, and this is going to be a major problem for pretty much the entire duration of the game's life, is balancing them. Now, balancing talents is not easy. To give you an idea of how difficult this is, Path the Wizard looks decent, Mark Valoon looks decent, Healing Ward looks really powerful, but you have to take Pierce. If you take the rest of them, then you lose out on a lot of potential damage later on in the game. So you basically have to take Pierce. It's really weird, but you more or less have to take Pierce, and that's the interesting thing. Now onto the second level. This is a little bit more balanced. So Searing Arrows is bugged at the moment, so you can't use them. You're supposed to be able to activate it to gain the bonus, but what ends up happening is it just auto casts, and you start losing mana. So that's a bit weird. And Shroud, this is pretty much pointless, because as I said, if something takes damage when cloaked, if you're playing against a ranged hero and you Shroud them, then the ranged attack in the air hits them and they get uncloaked. It's pretty much useless because of the way cloaking works. The shield is interesting and is actually good, and so is Quickening Blessing. Like, this stuff is pretty normal. But the more interesting ones I find actually come in the later levels. The early levels seem to be very, very one-sided. Now, these talents come every third level, so it's 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, and then, wait, is it 13? I think it's 13, 17, 20, actually. Yeah, there's a weird skip there. Now, as for some of this other stuff, like True Shot Aura is absolutely incredible. Battle Momentum would be good, but True Shot is just ridiculous, and that's the same with the rest of this stuff. This is the problem with the talent system at the moment. One tends to overshadow everything. Now, this tends to stop once you get past level 10. I mean, for instance, here you can actually take any of these. Shrink Ray is very, very interesting. Sprint, mobility is amazing. You can get cooldown reduction by hitting your E, and Lunar Blaze is the one I actually like sometimes, or Shrink Ray, because it makes the radius on the stun pretty large. It's just things like that. That's actually very good, and then on the next level you actually still have some decent stuff like cooldown reduction, Berserk, which can actually be relevant, Ranger, Shooting Star, they're all pretty much relevant. Although Berserk I think less so on this particular hero. But the Shooting Star, Ranger, and Rewind, all pretty balanced. That's what I like about the talent system, is how they designed the later ones. The early ones need some help though. And then for the end you just get a lot of various different ones. Fury of the Storm and Bolts of the Storm are fairly generic, and Storm Shield comes on a couple of things. The two ultimate ones are the unique. Now, the talent system overall, I love the system, they just have to balance out some of the stuff, especially the early stuff. The late stuff seems to be fairly good with all the big talents, but the early stuff is really a problem. Now for the rest of the stuff, there is skins for heroes that you can buy, and also you can get tints on the mount and the basic skin from doing hero quests just by playing the hero over and over and over again. So the way heroes are done it's pretty good, to be honest. I think if they get it balanced, it's going to be amazing, and that's really going to decide how this is going to go. Now, as for some of the problems with the hero system is to do with design. Now, I said this when I was talking about cloaking, is that some of the design is a little sketchy. The problems I have with some of the design is the way that things are, if they're slightly imbalanced, are exploitably imbalanced because of the way the heroes are designed. For example, Abathur, he has a global presence, and his ultimate makes a carbon copy of any ally that he can control for a certain amount of time with all of their abilities. The problem is that it means that if Abathur is in a game with an overpowered hero on your team, Abathur is automatically overpowered. You just get a second one. You're not supposed to be able to get a second one ever, so you just get a second one, and it really does break the game open. The global presence thing is also a little weird, but once he gets to level 10, you throw that out, you're now playing 5v5, and when you kill the Abathur clone, you don't get experience. Like, you don't get experience. So you're playing 5v5, and if the Abathur makes a mistake, it doesn't matter. If you guys make a mistake, you get further and further behind over and over and over again, and I think that's horrible design, personally, on Abathur. I really don't like that hero. He's a little sketchy. There's a talent he gets where he can spawn these venom sacs globally, and unfortunately, pretty much all the maps, apart from the Grave Golem one, require channeling to get the objective. This is where the problem with Abathur comes in. He can stop channeling, and the objectives, with the exception of Dragon Statue, actually give vision to the area on, say, like Cursed Hollow. Cursed Hollow gives vision of the area when someone's trying to capture it. So if there's an Abathur on the enemy team, you need about 2 or 3 people trying to capture something, because you can't. It keeps interrupting your channeling. It's ridiculous. Like, it's really annoying, and it makes you want to tear your hair out if you're playing against a decent Abathur. And that's one of the problems I have with the hero. The design is deliberately annoying. Some of the other stuff, which has been causing imbalances, is things like Stitches. He has a crazy heal, which wouldn't be too bad, but he also has one of the highest health totals in the entire game, and on top of that, he has other ways of utilizing his health, so it turns into too much. Murden's also a bit of a design problem, where he's supposed to be a stun heavy hero. The problem is that all of his all of his talent levels have the ability to give something an extra stun. So at the moment, he doesn't really kill you. He just chain stuns you for about 6 or 7 seconds. We actually did measure this. When Murden was in rotation, it was miserable. The rotation system is the same as it is in League. For instance, if I scroll down here, it shows the current free rotation. Raynor is in all of them. He's the basic hero. I think Tassadar was in 2 in a row. Maybe that was just a mistake, but Raynor is in all of them. The rest of them, though, are new as of yesterday, I think. But anyway, to do with Murden, when he was in rotation, it caused some serious misery. Because he was in rotation with another very high CC tank called ETC, who has multiple open CCs, and that's kind of his thing. And he's very, very interesting to play and to play against. He has a very, very stun-heavy but low-damage sort of outlook on the game. The problem with Murden is that he's designed in such a way that he stun locks you, but he's supposed to not do very much damage, and he regens. So he doesn't do that much damage, and that's supposed to balance him out. But because of the way the hero is designed, they actually have to redesign parts of the hero, otherwise that's not going to work. Simply because of the amount of stuns he has. We actually did have a team fight where we lost to a Murden because he chain stunned 3 of us for 5 seconds. He didn't do any damage, but he chain stunned all of us for 5 seconds. It was completely absurd. And that's to do with actual design on the talents, not just sort of the balance of the hero overall, because on paper the hero is balanced, but in practice it really isn't. It's things like that small imbalances because of the way the hero system works can blow them out of proportion. The maps also function a little bit too much in hero balance. Some heroes are way, way stronger on some maps, and pretty much useless on other ones. This wouldn't be a problem, but you can't queue for certain maps. You just get the ones you get. Although currently in the alpha, there seems to be this weird thing where the map goes through like a rotation. So you will play the same map over and over and over again on one day. It's a little miserable, but at least you can predict what map you're going to play. But an example of this is Tyrande. Now, Tyrande on some maps, like the Golem map that was showed at BlizzCon, is more or less useless. She doesn't clear mercenary camps very quickly. She doesn't clear those little packs very quickly. She's more utility and sort of single target hero based damage. But she just doesn't clear that stuff very quickly, so all she is a heal machine. At which point you just get one of the other supports. The problem is that Tyrande is also very, very, very powerful on things like Cursed Hollow, because you need to be channeling. And her bird is global, so you can use that to interrupt channeling. And at level 20 her Starfall becomes global, so you just put it on the Cursed Hollow since you have vision, and no one can capture it for 10 seconds. So it's again to do with the design of the heroes, where the map discrepancy is absurd, and I think that in competitive play the map is going to have a lot of bearing on the actual heroes being picked. Is going to be dependent on the map. I'm not sure how they're going to do competitive play. I've got a feeling it's going to happen all on Dragonshire, to be honest, because that is the best map in my opinion, and the one that's the most fun to play on competitively. Which sort of brings me on to the map system. Now, I'm going to start with the most positive, and I'll end with the most negative. The best map in the game is Dragonshire. Now, Dragonshire is a very well designed map, and it's actually very fun to play on. The way it works is you have 3 lanes, middle, top, and bottom. The middle lane has this shrine in it, or I don't know what they call it, it's like a statue or something, with a dragon on it. Now, top and bottom have to fight over a shrine that becomes active periodically. It becomes active until both teams control the shrine. You have to actually stand there to capture it, and then the middle statue becomes active, and the guy who's mid has to channel on that statue, and for I think 3 or 4 seconds, and then he gets this Dragon Warrior, which is used to basically push down forts. Now, the Dragon Warrior itself is not insurmountable. It helps, but you need to support it. It doesn't just blow through, for example. But that's not really why the map is good, although the fact that the objective doesn't instantly end the game is actually a positive. That's not why the map is the best one. The reason it's the best one is because you get so many fights going on all the time. There's even mercenaries that are decent to get. The mercenaries are decent to get. The shrine fights, top and bottom, are incredibly fun. You get 2 2v2s and then a 1v1 mid because the person needs to channel. So basically they have to kill or force out of lane the guy mid, while the top and bottom push the other 2 lanes out and actually gain the shrine. It's a very team-based map without you having to depend entirely on your team. Like, if you play well on that map, then you can secure your part of it so that the enemy team can't actually take the objective. But if your entire team does their part, then you get a huge boost in the Dragon Warrior. Or Dragon Knight, I think is what they called it. So that's my favorite map. The mercenaries aren't overpowered or underpowered or anything, there's just the right amount. There's the sort of right amount of team objective, right amount of incentive to team fight once the actual Dragon Warrior is taken, or fights over the middle. Even fights over some of the shrines late game can be turned into team fights, and there's enough sort of individual skill involved in these fights, because they're very, very small scale for a lot of the game. Now, the second best map, in my opinion, is Blackheart Bay. Now, Blackheart Bay is the other one that was shown at BlizzCon actually, with the ship, where you collect doubloons from chests that spawn periodically, and also camps that spawn every couple of minutes. So you kill these, you get doubloons, you turn them into Blackheart, which for some reason takes like 10 seconds to give him coins. But yeah, it takes a long time to give him the coins, but once you get to 10, then the ship opens fire and takes out probably a fort on its own. And then it takes 12, then 14, then 16, and the objective doesn't end the game the first time you get it. It does play a fairly large role, to the point where I don't even understand why the lanes exist at all. There are 3 lanes, there's one bottom below the ship, and then there's one above the ship, and then one further above the ship. Now, from playing on that map, I can fully tell you, ignore the top one. No one's going to the top one. The lanes might as well not exist in that map, to be honest. The ship does most of the pushing. It really does. Even the mercenaries are a bit lackluster. There's only 2 giant camps for sieging the bottom lane. But the ship will do most of the pushing. Just go for coins. It's kind of depressing that the lanes are useless, more or less, apart from to give you something to do when you're not fighting over black card, which is only for the first few minutes, because you'll be fighting for coins for the rest of the game, pretty much. But yeah, the lanes might as well not exist, and heroes like Witch Doctor, for example, are pretty bad on that map, because he's pushing oriented, and it doesn't matter how fast your Witch Doctor is at pushing, the ship will push faster. So just fight over the ship on that map. Now, the good thing about this map is the ship fight. Now, the ship fight is pretty much a continuous 5v5 fight over the ship for the entire game. It's ridiculous. It's a bit exhausting if you keep playing the same map over and over and over again, but it is completely ridiculous and actually a lot of fun, is to get in these massive ship fights over and over and over again. It does mean that ship fights, they tend to help with some of the team fight oriented heroes. So for instance, things like Muradin, ETC, Stitches, all the CC focused guys, all the rollers are very, very good there. A lot of the assassins are good there, and some of the more sort of combat oriented supports and less objective based supports are actually quite good on there. Specialists have a little bit of an issue on that map, to be perfectly fair. They do have a bit of an issue because they can't get there in time, so specialists are not too good on that map and they get hosed a little bit. But generally the other 3 classes of heroes are quite good on that map, and it is actually a lot of fun to play. Now onto the meh map. Now, Cursed Hollow is either hated or not thought much of, depending on who you ask. Now, the way Cursed Hollow works is you have 3 lanes again, top, middle, bottom, and every couple of minutes a tribute spawns in one of a set few locations. It's random, from what I can tell. It's random, and you have to go to that location. It spawns within about 10 seconds of the warning, which is a problem because then the guys who are the lane furthest away can't get there. A little bit of an issue. So you end up with a really weird setup. And if one of them was ganking from the furthest away lane, then that team with the ganker instantly wins that tribute because they have an extra hero for a extended period of time. But anyway, the actual map, you get these tributes, you try and capture these tributes, and your opponent has vision of the area, by the way, so you end up with weird interactions with Abathur and Tyrande, for example, with interrupting of channeling continuously. But besides that, once you get 3 tributes, the most annoying thing in the entire game happens, which is the curse. Now, the curse lasts a minute. What the curse does is it stops all of your buildings from attacking, also gives them half life, and makes all of your minions have 1 life. Now, the problem with this is you get the curse, you then push 5-man push down 1 lane. The enemy team has to 5-man up to stop you. You take down usually 1 fort before they can stop you because your reaction time is faster than theirs because they don't know which lane you're going to push. And then your minions take out 2 forts on the other lanes because they just build up, and then take them out. This is the problem. If you get 2 curses in a row, I don't recall the last time I saw 2 curses in a row being survived. I think it's possible, but it's very unlikely. Because by the time you get 2 curses in a row, the level advantage is insurmountable. And because you're forced to fight over these. So the level advantage is insurmountable, and they just 5-man push and win the game. I've even seen single curse wins with pushing heroes. Just single curse wins, take out the main core or palace. It's weird. It's called the palace by the announcer, but you click on it, it's called the core. So they take out the main core, and that's all she wrote. It's really swingy. I mean, you can come back on the map if you get the 2nd curse, for example. If you lose the 1st curse and you get the 2nd curse, then you can come back. But it's really swingy, and I really don't like the fact that it's swingy. However, I don't mind playing on Cursed Hollow, and the reason I don't mind playing on Cursed Hollow is, well, mostly because lanes actually matter, but I don't mind playing on Cursed Hollow because it means I don't play on this last map. Now, unfortunately, yesterday was Haunted Mine Day, so as a result, I did not really play. Now, Haunted Mine is the worst map ever. It is horrible. I don't even want to like play on it ever. But you can't veto maps. Now the way this works is, I think this was talked about at BlizzCon. I'm not sure if they actually showed it. I think they did actually. I think they actually did. I don't think they showed Dragonshire. No, they didn't show Dragonshire. They showed Blackheart Bay and Haunted Mines. Blackheart Bay was a good map. It's fairly decent. It's not as good as Dragonshire, but it's fairly decent. Now, Haunted Mine is, quite frankly, horrible. It has 2 lanes, and after about 5 minutes, first of all, the problem with 2 lanes is you end up with 3 people in one lane, 2 people in the other, and the metagame hasn't really shifted at all. So you end up with these weird flips, 3v2, 3v2, and the laning system is miserable for everyone involved. Now, when the undead spawn, which happens, I think 5 or 6 minutes into the game, the mines open. You're supposed to go into the mines, kill the undead, collect skulls, kill the massive golem in the middle, collect all the skulls from that, and you get Grave Golem, and Grave Golem goes to smash the enemy's base. Problem with this is that if your entire team goes into the Haunted Mine, the other team's just like, no, we're not going to contend for that. Take all the mercenaries. This actually happens. You take all the mercenaries, you then push with the mercenaries, and once the golem spawns, I've literally seen this, 100 skull golem to nothing. No skull golem to 100 skull golem. But no, it's okay, guys. We got 4 forts. There's only 2 in each lane, by the way. We got 4 forts from mercenaries. Because there's so many mercenaries. There's 4 sets of siege giants, which are very, very good at taking out buildings, and a night camp, which gives an aura to all the other minions in the area. That just makes them ridiculous, gives them attack speed and damage and ability power to anything in the area. Now, this is a bit absurd, so to say. So what ends up happening is you have this weird dance where if you send all 5 people down to the Haunted Mine, the enemy team just takes all the mercenaries. If they send all 5, you take all the mercenaries. So what you end up is 1 person from each team goes into the Haunted Mine, the rest contest over the mercenaries, the golem spawns, and everyone's a bit weirded out, because you end up with like a 50 skull golem to 50 skull golem, and no one can kill the major one in the middle, so no one can get all the skulls, and you end up with the golem just like taking ages to spawn. If they both contest and all the mercenary counts eventually spawn, and then people go get the golem, but then there's no concerted push, and then the golem spawns, and then it's just a mess because the level disadvantage was decided over the mercenaries. It's really bad. Now, as you can imagine, in competitive teams, there's some strategy here. Mercenaries or golem, things like that. There's strategy here. You actually have to decide whether or not you're going to go into the mines, or how you're going to react to the enemy team going in the mines. The problem is that you're not always 5 stacking. You often play in a random queue. If you get Haunted Mines in a random queue, you want to kill yourself. It's a nightmare. You can't, there's no team orientation. In fact, one of the things people actually ask at the beginning of every single Haunted Mine game is mercs or mines. And everyone on the team agrees, oh, mercenaries. No, there is one guy who doesn't agree with you, and when all 5 of them are in the mine, he goes down into the mine, dies a bunch, and then you're a level behind, and you lost momentum, and you lose. And the same happens the other way around. You can't do it half and half, basically. It's really, really dumb. I really hate the system they do this. The other thing with the golem, if both teams just contest over the golem continuously, this is what happens. The stronger golem, both teams want to support their golem. Whoever gets a slightly stronger golem, the team supports that slightly stronger golem. The enemy team now has to respond to said slightly stronger golem, because they know that if they push with their golem, they won't get as much damage done, and then the game just turns into a weird base race, and the enemy golem will win the game. So they defend the golem. Now the golem takes out 1 fort. Okay, takes out 1 fort. Next time this happens, because you had to defend, your opponent's actually a higher level than you, because the forts give experience. So they get a slightly stronger golem again. Takes out the next fort. They get a slightly stronger golem the 3rd time. Takes out the palace. That's how every single golem rush I've ever seen has happened. Whoever gets the first one and supports it, wins. You don't want to play a game like that. It's basically it's good game 5 minutes into the game, but you have to play for 20. It's not fun. It really is not fun. But so to say, playing on that map in a pub system is horrible, and that was a moped. Whatever. Served me out for opening the window. Whatever. So as far as the map system goes, Dragonshire is good. Blackheart Bay is pretty good. It's okay. Cursed Hollow is on the other end of okay than Blackheart, essentially. And the Haunted Mine is horrible. So the map system is... I'm kind of sketchy on it. I really am kind of sketchy on it. You're never really... The problem is if you get the same map over and over and over again, it doesn't matter if it's Blackheart Bay is fine the first time. If you play Blackheart Bay a bunch of times in a row, you just don't want to play anymore. This is the problem I've found. The only map you actually want to play over and over and over again is Dragonshire. You don't mind playing on Blackheart Bay from time to time, but you don't really want to. And Dragonshire you just want to play on. Like every single time you see Dragonshire, people in the group sort of celebrating, whereas the rest of them just like, oh look, it's this map again. It's a bit of a problem, so to say. It is a little bit of a problem. So as far as the map system goes, not particularly impressed, to be honest. The maps are too swingy, the objectives are way too swingy, and it's too objective focused. Apart from on Dragonshire, individual skill is not that recognized, especially on the Golem map. It pretty much counts for nothing. On Blackheart Bay it can, because collecting doubloons is a single thing, and you need to be able to find the time to do that while taking part in team fights. And on Cursed Hollow it basically counts for 0, because it doesn't matter how good you are as a player in this game, if there are 2 people there, you will lose that fight. Doesn't matter. You can be 3 levels ahead of them and you will still lose. 2 heroes, so much more powerful than 1 in this game. It's really ridiculous. There isn't really any soloing at all. There isn't enough sort of skill-based elements in the game, or intense damage-based elements in the game to actually provide the ability to 2-on-1 people, unless you're completely overpowered, like Nova, for example. So yeah, it's a bit of a problem. It means that the individual skill is reduced a lot on these maps, with the exception of Dragonshire, because there are a lot smaller scale fights. Now, as for some of the rest of the stuff in the game, I've already talked about the maps, which has been overall kind of bad. I've talked about the heroes, which are overall kind of good. Negative points on the heroes, obviously. Positive points on some of the maps, obviously. Now, as for the rest of the stuff in the game, first thing I'm going to talk about is the tower ammo system. Okay, so the way forts work in this game is there are a couple things there. There's a healing fountain that is on a cooldown for you, global cooldown for you, that you can only use, and it heals you up for a decent amount and heals you up and mana wise as well, and it's fairly decent. I actually like that system, because it means you don't have to go to base to heal. Now, then there's towers and forts, and said towers and forts have ammo. This may have looked very cool when they showed it at BlizzCon, but playing with it is miserable. Because what happens is that if you are playing a 2v3, for example, your opponent just keeps pushing into the towers, and oh look, your towers ran out of ammo. Say goodbye to your lane. That's literally what happens. You get to push in things really early, and it messes up a lot. It really does. It also means that towers don't really defend themselves against mercenaries at all, and it just feels like they're kind of designed like League of Legends towers, where they stop heroes single-handed diving onto you, but that's about it. If there are creeps around, they don't even target heroes if you're attacking. They will always target creeps or minions first, then mercenaries, then heroes. They leave heroes for last, even if you're trying to kill the hero on their side. They don't protect you at all. All they stop is diving. That's it. They don't stop any pushing at all. They don't really stop sort of people diving in on you when the lane is pushed. They don't stop that either. They don't stop mercenaries. They really are pretty pointless, to be honest. They just stop hero diving. That's pretty much all they are. Now, there's also a gate on each of these which you can run through, whereas your opponents can't. That actually does more to stop diving than the towers do. You need both, but that does more, to be honest, is the gate. Now, the tower system I really don't like. It's a bit sketchy, and it also means that, for example, heroes with spawn abilities like Garrigan just take out towers like no one's business, because it just targets all the creeps. It targets all the creeps and it wastes all the ammo, and then Garrigan just takes it out. It also means you can solo towers from about level 10. You can solo towers because they just run out of ammo and you just wail on them and they die. It's a little weird. Abilities also affect towers fully. All abilities that can be targeted on the ground, or even some single target stuff, affect towers. So you can take them out fairly quickly, and they don't really do that much, to be honest. Now, the forts, however, do a decent amount. They have a lot of life. They have 2 lines of ammo instead of 1, so they don't tend to run out. And they have a frost attack, which slows you down. So the forts actually do a decent amount, but the towers not so much. Now, the other weird thing about towers is the way the ammo system works. The ammo comes back very slowly. So once they run out of ammo once, that's pretty much it for the tower. The tower will die if it runs out of ammo once. It gains a couple ammo back, but it takes so long to get ammo back to full, it just never will happen. Now, as for the way that mounts work, this is my biggest problem with the game, besides the maps, is the way the mounts work. Now, some heroes have a damage-based system. Things like Falstad, for example, he's flying, so he doesn't obviously have a mount. He has a weird system where he has a movement ability instead of mount, and so does Brightwing, actually. Has movement ability instead of mount called Fly, where he ignores terrain and he flies directly to target location. But if he's out of combat for 6 seconds, he gets the mount boost. Now, out of combat means don't get damaged, whereas with mounts, it just means if you attack as well. So it's infinitely better than mounts, which is a bit weird. And Brightwing has a teleport instead of a mount, which is kind of ridiculous. But anyway, the way the mount system works is you have to channel for a second, and if you attack or get damaged, you demount. Now, there's a button called demount, which makes no sense. It really doesn't. I mean, the only situation you would ever demount, because there's a cooldown, there's a 3-second cooldown. The only system you would ever demount is if you want to demount to go into a fight, because you know you're going to remount immediately. That's it. That is literally the only time you will ever demount, and it's kind of weird that it's even there, because you can demount just by using an ability. Now, the problem with the mount system is it's designed to be out of combat, so it has a 1-second channel period to actually summon the mount, and then you get 20% speed boost. The problem is, the 1 second is so short that in chases, you actually combat mount. And whoever can stop your opponent from mounting first will get away. This is as dumb as it sounds. Like, it makes Falstad ridiculous at chases, because he gets the boost immediately at 6 seconds, and he has an instant cast Thunderstorm, which doesn't lose him the boost, but it loses your opponent's mount, and the mount doesn't give you extra speed or anything compared to Falstad's passive, so he just takes you off your mount, and now you're screwed. So the way the mount system works is kind of weird. I don't like it. It's too much micromanagement. I would prefer that you just got a out of combat speed boost, like that broke on damage, kind of like Falstad, and give Falstad some other passive or something. I would much prefer that being given, or just make it, if you want to give Falstad something special about it, make it like 4 seconds and then give everyone else the 6-second thing. Because I really don't like the way the mount system works, where you can in-combat mount, and you actually have to. If your opponent in-combat mounts and you're too slow, basically what chases boil down to is you both have to mount at exactly the same time for you to get away. If you mount slightly late, he catches up to you a little bit and takes off your mount. If you mount early, he catches up to you and takes off your mount. But if the guy chasing mounts up and you come back to interrupt it, you die. If you keep running, you also die because he'll catch up to you. So you have to mount at exactly the same time he does. If you mount at exactly the same time he does, you will get away. If you don't, you're dead. It's really, really weird, and I kind of hate it. It does mean that heroes with long-range skill shots are fairly decent at getting away, like Toronto, for example. If they start mounting, you just use a long-range stun on them, and they get stunned and you can run away. They actually get stunned for your mounting time. So you just stun them, mount up, run away. It's really dumb. I really don't like the way mounts happen in this game. I know why they're in the game, because they wanted a boot system that was interactive, but just increase the speed of heroes, or do something like they did with Falstad with the out of combat inbuilt mount. They could even have a mount, because mounts are there for cosmetic reasons. To be honest, if they have a mount, it means they can sell extra mounts. One thing, it does look hilarious to have Stitches and Diablo on a mount. It looks really funny. Now, as for the actual... I didn't even know this was on the StarCraft 2 soundtrack. That's weird. Anyway, so the mount system is not amazing. I would say that if they just changed it to work in the same way it does for Falstad, then I am fine with it, and I think that would actually be a good system. Because mounts, out of combat boots is actually a pretty cool system, and I'm fine with it. Now, I think I've pretty much touched on everything, especially the heroes, the maps, in-game mechanics, anything else. Oh yeah, gold. Getting gold it's kind of like IP from League of Legends. You use it to buy heroes. Gold is fine. You get it from leveling up, and you also get it from doing daily quests. So that's fine. Now, as for the way experience works, you get experience from playing heroes multiple times, and you also get it from dailies and just from playing. You get extra for winning, and that's pretty much expected. You get extra for partying up, and also extra on the weekend. So, it's decent overall. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with sort of the out-of-game stuff. You can even try heroes in the shop. You can try them out. It doesn't do much, but you can try them out, although I would wait for rotation to try heroes out, personally. So, all the out-of-game stuff is actually very well designed. The game itself is done in the StarCraft 2 engine, so it looks pretty nice. It's a little sub-optimized at the moment, but that's all going to get fixed. Same with balance, it's all going to get fixed. Although with balance I do have concerns about how easy it's going to be to balance, because I don't think it will be, because the system they've decided on, while interesting and actually quite good, is very difficult to balance in terms of talents and the way some sunlocks are done and things like that. The map system, I'm not sure what they're going to do with it, to be honest. If I could, I would scrap the Haunted Mine map. Really hate that map. But yeah, I would scrap the Haunted Mine and I would put something else into the game. Or even just have 3 maps. But the other 3 I think are okay. Cursed Hollow is a little bit weird, but the map system overall, it's going to change at some point. It's changed in the past. They have shown us map that just didn't really do too well. So they were removed and revamped. So the map system will change over time, and that will get redesigned slightly, so that's going to happen. That's sort of the main purpose of this, is to give feedback. Feedback through a video. I hope this gets back to Blizzard, so to say. But, yeah, so as a result, I don't really talk about balance or anything like that, because that's all going to get changed. Thank you all for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe. If you have any feedback, put it in the comment section below. I'll put the link to Heroes Nexus, which is where I'm getting this from, in the description below. If you want to come talk to me about anything Hearthstone related or Heroes of the Storm related, then you can come on Teamspeak. I'll put the information, Teamspeak address, in the description. Thank you all for watching. This is Jotto, signing off.